Hello, I'm Ronald Feichtmeir, and this one is an excerpt from a novel, a larger novel, that's being readied for publication right now called Wild Boar in the Cane Field by Anniqua Rana. Let's see, the name of this piece is The Shrine of Makhianwala. Makhianwala, the patron saint of the shrine, the keeper of flies, the man who had lain for 100 years in the grave covered with green, red, and gold satin shrouds, had never taken a bath. I had seen men like that on the roadside. They stayed away from the village. They had no use for family or home or food like the rest of us. Amabaga said God had given them the power to stay alive, and then when he took them, their graves marked a special place for forgiveness and blessings. Makhianwala had come to the village at a time when there were no buses or cars or electricity. He had come to remind the villagers, the farm workers, and their families to cherish all life, even flies that contaminated food and carried sickness. He sat motionless for hours, letting the flies and maggots live off the filth of his body. Cleansing himself would kill a living being, Amabaga told me. Dogs would lick the salt from his sweaty body. That brought him closer to God, she added. Such a holy man, she sighed. Everyone goes to a shrine and he blesses sinners and saints alike. When I took Jeanette to pray for some, she got 2. She couldn't care for them, but that was on her. Bibi Safia herself went before her wedding. Her prayers were answered. She returned to the village within a year. Makhianwala doesn't discriminate, and everyone believes in his powers. Everyone. Not everyone, I thought. Even before I had visited the shrine, Amabaga's veneration of Makhianwala's bodily filth intrigued me. To amuse myself and the others at the morning religion lessons with Zakia, the Mulvi's wife, I mentioned the holiness of the keeper of flies, as if the fumes of Makhianwala's unwashed body had emanated from the shrine, spread across the cane fields, and engulfed Zakia. She breathed heavily and then began her tirade on how even a dead body needs to be washed before it's placed in the ground. I wondered if that's what happened to the holy man, if he had spent his whole life distancing himself from water only to be bathed once he was dead. Zakia must have rambled on in anger about the torturous consequences of flouting the rituals of religion, cleanliness being key, but I was no longer interested in what she thought. I had, however, provided an opportunity for the others to stop memorizing the lines they had been repeating for the last 10 minutes. Visions of hellfire reflected in Malik's dilating pupils as he listened to Zakia's decree. Taj, as if to tempt fate, drew unmentionable body parts on the ground with his finger, daringly close to Zakia's line of sight. Though she never turned her head in his direction, perhaps he knew she wouldn't. The 2 sisters, Hamida and Nafisa, fingers stuck to the words on the page of the Qaeda, rocked soundlessly, hypnotized by what they heard. I turned my gaze towards the Mulvi, wondering what he thought as he sat silently listening to his wife, smoking his hookah. I caught his eye, but he couldn't. He looked away and gestured to Taj to bring a fresh coal to the stove where Zakia sat overseeing the preparation of the day's meal. The lesson stretched to eternity as Zakia's wrath persisted. But when we returned to Amabaga's kitchen, I asked if the Mulvi had ever gone to the shrine to ask for mercy, being married to such a woman. She laughed and said, I would get myself in trouble if such thoughts, and promised to take me the next time she went to the shrine. Amabaga kept her promise and took me twice after that. The first time we went with an Eid offering. Bibi Safia had sacrificed 1 black and one white goat that year. The white one was for all the luck she needed for herself, and the black one in memory of her father, dead for over a decade. Ama Baga distributed a third of the meat among the villagers and kept another third at home. After consulting with Bibi Safia, she took the leftover meat to the shrine, ensuring continued blessings for the crops and the cattle for the next year. Remembering her promise, she said, Bibi, the two girls, Tara and Maria, want to go too. I'll take them for an hour and return before the afternoon prayer. They'll just be a nuisance. They can stay behind. I'm sure there's plenty to do. Bibi Safia grouched. Maria and I stood behind the door of Bibi Safia's room and held hands tightly as if this would give more power to Baga to convince her mistress to take us. We have 2 pots, and you know my knees. I'll have to get them to help me load and unload. We heard Bibi Safia clicking her tongue disapprovingly. We waited for her to suggest that Taj or Malik, Baga's sons, should help with the task, but she didn't. Maria squeezed my hand, and I stopped biting my lip as I heard Safia ask Baga to pass her the keys to her cupboard. I could hear her shuffling to the cupboard door and opening the heavy lock. Here, take the bus fare for the 4 of you, but don't forget to return the change. Tell the girls not to make a habit of wanting an outing so often. Gulping my anger on Safia's suggestion that a yearly outing was one too many, I let go of Maria's hand and straightened my clothes, excited for this first trip to the shrine that I had heard so much about. The next morning, after breakfast, we would take the bus and leave the meat with the cooks of the shrine. They would prepare a meal to distribute among the supplicants. With full stomachs, the beggars and holy men would have more power for their prayers. The power of prayer might even help me. What would I pray for? My true mother? A family? A home? I'm sure I didn't sleep that night. I had to think of the perfect prayer so it would be heard at the shrine of Sai Makhianwala. Ama Bagam had explained that to be heard, I had to be respectful in my prayer. First, an invocation to God, and then a durud to the Prophet. Only then should I think of myself.